Alrighty guys, so since my last update on this car, sorry I think the lens might be a little bit dirty, just give me a second. No better. Anyway, since my last update on this car, I bled out this suspension, I brought it for a quick test drive, seemed all okay. Bled out the suspension, got that kind of working right. I'm unhappy with the front, I'm going to increase the height on that. And then I had an overheating issue, and that kind of caught me off guard, if you know what I mean, because I wasn't expecting everything, because I had done so much, overkill on the cooling system. But as it turns out, I actually forgot to change out the water pump for the one that I had there at the time, which was the steel impeller one. So that was very silly of me. But I had an overheating issue where I was getting up to 120 degrees centigrade, and it's kind of, I only went for a 2 kilometer drive, and on the way down that it got up to 100 on my 1 kilometer, let's say, of that. And then on a kilometre back, it got all the way back up to 120, just as I was pulling up into the house's gate, So I did that twice, and yeah, I just said, there's definitely an issue here. I tried a few things in between the two. So I managed to pinpoint it down. I thought it was going to be a head gasket, and actually Luke Dale from Diesel Pump UK said it's very, very rare for the head gaskets to go on these. So that made me kind of, a load of people gave me a good advice on that post, but it was just because of the fact that Luke had so many of these engines in, and when he said it's incredibly rare for the head gasket to go, that made me say, right, well then maybe it's not something that commonly happens, and that maybe I need to investigate further. And then I found out that the water pump itself had a leak, basically. So that's that second test, and still the same. It doesn't give you a timeline for doing it, but I do it for ages, and it never really changes. This one stayed more in that royal blue than the last one, but then, as I said, in the last one I was opening the canister and interfering with it while the room was filled with OM606 smoke. So I'm going to call that a win. I'm going to change the water pump and see how we go from there. As I say, that side feels cool, that side feels hot, which probably is exactly what it should be like. This has no heat to it, but I know when the system was boiling over, when it was getting very hot, all those pipes were hot, every single one of them. Alright guys, I'm going to call that a win, just change out the pump and then see where we stand after that. Alrighty guys, so got the water pump removed, and you can see a little bit of gasket material there. All looks okay. I just want to show you what actually happened as I removed the water pump. So I swore that I swapped out this water pump for one with a steel impeller that came on the naturally aspirated 606 that I had. I don't know what happened, I mustn't have done that, but when I took out that pump, I literally just went to pull it off, and that was in 2 pieces inside in the housing. Now I had a look, and I can put it together, I could super glue that back together, so I'm not missing any little bits and pieces or anything like that. So it's not a case of I've lost any little bits. I think I'm quite lucky because of that. But I don't know what happened to my steel impeller one. I mustn't have fitted it. Maybe, obviously I didn't fit it, but maybe it was a case of I was working on painting the engine or something like that, and it just got overlooked. I can't believe I forgot such a simple thing. But anyway, that was my overheating issue for sure. maybe it was spinning a little bit, even though it's split in half like that when I went to remove it. Maybe it was spinning a little bit just on the fact that it's cogged teeth on that, so a little bit of grip each time. So it might have been circling a very small amount of water, not a huge amount. It doesn't make a difference. I'm confident that I didn't do any damage during this, if you know what I mean. I ran it up to temperature maybe 4 or 5 times, 4 times probably, not even 5. And it only overheated as in got up to the 120 mark, but didn't spew its fluid or boil over. It only got to the point where it was at the 120 mark, no boiling over. But you know, twice basically it did that, and not for a sustained period of time, because I was only a kilometre away from the house when it got up to 100. By the time I got back to the house, it was at 120. So in the space of 500 meters, you know. So I'm not too concerned about that. The car never felt any different during any of that driving, so I'll just change out this. I got a new pump which that has the steel impeller, so yeah, I'll change that out and that should be that solved. Alright guys, I'll check back in when I've got a bit more done. I changed the water pump out. There's a bit of video you'll see of that happening, and now I'm into the exhaust. It's too loud for me as well with the straight pipe, so I have a little back box to go in amongst here, and then I'm going to send it out and dump it out that side of the car. And what else? I have the springs now too, so I have springs that are just slightly lower, as in higher than what's currently there, and lower overall than a standard one. I'm going to put them down on that and see how it goes. If I want to lower it more, I can, you know. So yeah, that's that. The only other thing was the Bowden cable for, I don't know if it's for changing through the gears of the gearbox. That Bowden cable is too tight, and I know I have the original one from the NA606 somewhere, so I'm waiting to find that. I have it basically just unplugged for the time being. I need to bring it for a test drive anyway to prove that the pump was my failing point, even though when I actually took the pieces out, it was in half, the plastic impeller, so it's definitely his, but I want to just bring it for a drive, make sure it goes through the gears without that Bowden cable. If I don't need it, I'll leave it. At the moment, but basically it was too tight, so if I can find the NA606 one, I might try that just to see if it's looser. They are the way they're made, I can't even cut it down easily. I might have to figure out a way around that, but at the moment I actually can't cut down that outer sheath. So that's going to be an issue. Anyway guys, I'm going to start working on the back box. I'll just show you what I have here. It's just a cheapo kind of polished back box. It's a bit small, so it'll be going dead center of here, and then dumping out to the side. So we'll see how it goes. I'll check in a bit. Okay guys, shed's a mess again, as you can imagine. Back box mount, as I say, it's quite small, so I have these long leaves on it. I tried putting them on with 3mm flat stainless steel, but obviously that was a silly idea, and I ended up having to reinforce it with some round stock, which doesn't bend that well. It's a little bit more difficult to weld. I don't get great welds when I try to weld round stock onto a flat surface. But anyway, or onto any surface really, you know. I had the same issue with the mount that was back here. I hope they hold up. So now I just have that a 90 coming off the existing system. I cut back a little bit, and then I just have a little section here to attach to the length out to 90 into that, and then I have 345s, believe it or not, to make the exhaust downpipe here. That's not saying it's going beyond 90, they're just clocked in so many ways that it needed 3 of them to do it, and even at that they're nowhere near 90, you know. Anyway, that I just have to weld it up. It's looking pretty okay. You can see the blue tape with the black line, that's my center point on the box, and the same on you see that little mark in the center of the back of the car here. So the next thing is I need to just obviously I've got 4 more welds to do for that. I'll just show you one of these now. It might be still hot, but the section is going to be facing out because it was a pre-made 90. It actually has nice little colour and a nice rhythm to it. There was some areas there where it was, even with the pre-made 90, you know, your pre-made 45, you're welding and it's opening up and it's loosening back, and they are mandrel bent, so they don't go perfectly in shape with each other. But that would be a nice little downpipe for it. As I say, the welds are not great, but then I'm learning how to TIG. I'm actually happy with them, but I just know they're not Instagram good, you know. So anyway, that's that. 4 more welds, full sort of rounds to do on that. I have what have I got to do over here? I have to change out the springs on the front. I noticed also, I don't know if it was there beforehand, I can't remember checking it, but the wheel bearing on here, I don't know if you can hear that, but that wheel bearing is giving me noise. I will try just tightening it up for the time being, and then I'll check it again, obviously, because I will be getting this car back up on the lift to put the under tray in and everything like that. I have 2 little points here where it's touching. Let me see if I can get that to focus. Yeah, it's touching the intercooler here, and the same on the opposite side. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut that out, and I have this splitter here, which comes standard on an Astra G, and that's to sit in just there. So it's real kind of narrow in the middle, comes down just in line with the intercoolers. So I'm going to pop that on. I'm going to obviously have to cut away sections there just for that one corner where it touches. And I believe this is where, when I was doing my research into it, a few guys that have used these intercoolers, they all seem to run the bumper from an AMG, you know, the AMG style bumper. That I thought was a coincidence because everybody wants an AMG style bumper. I actually don't want an AMG style bumper. I want to keep this kind of sleeperish. But I just thought it was a coincidence, but obviously it's not. They need it for the clearance. So I'm going to see how I get on there. Hopefully it won't be something big gaping hole here. Anyway, that's that for now, and I will check in when I've done a bit more.